Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like people ask questions, and I'm like, like, even with birth plans and stuff, and it's like, I don't know. You tell me. I've got no, but for me, it's been very much like, as with the pregnancy, I take it day by day. Training in pregnancy, take it day by day, see how I feel, and respond to that. I plan on doing the same with post birth and return to training. The one thing I'm very sure about, just from hearing horror stories of training, is that I will see a women's health physio before I start running. For me, that's like the clearest thing that you can do in order to control, to a certain extent, your return to running. Just the reassurance that you're not going down a route that is going to cause you long-term problems, later on. Because for me, I'm due fairly early December, early to mid December, sorry, and I feel like, in terms of return to racing, I would like to do that quickly, but at the same time, the impact of returning too quickly is only going to show around sort of August to October next year, which is actually when I want to be at my best. So initially, when I first got pregnant, it was like, oh, I want to be back for Ironman South Africa. That's like my favorite race. But I mean, realistically, it's just not feasible. And since then, I think I've moved away from putting time scales on it, because, we don't know what we're going to get. We don't know if we're going to have an emergency C-section, which changes things. Don't know if we're going to have as one of my friends says, she sneezed and it just came out. And then other friends just had the most horrendous birth. So I'm trying not to put too many expectations on it. The one thing I'm just sure about is that I will see a professional, because I'm not a professional in that area. I can swim, bike and run pretty fast, but I'm not a women's health expert. And although I've been quite happy to train listening to my body, I think post-birth it's important to get that expert advice.
Yeah, 100%, Susie. I cannot recommend enough that you do book in, and any woman, just if you're going to spend the money, just spend the money on seeing a woman's with physiotherapist. They'll give you a good amount of time. Going via the NHS and waiting to see a physiotherapist that way is a delayed way, and you can absolutely do that if you find that you don't have the funds. But if you can, and there's a local person near you, then I would highly recommend it. There's also like the physiotherapists that I work with, they do something called a mummy MOT. And I know there's someone kind of in the Bath area, and they basically do exactly what they need to do on the tin, basically do a full check of everything, see where you're at, what you're going to be doing, where you're at, and then it can give you a kind of advice. And then they can also refer you to someone who's like a physical therapist like myself to get you moving in that direction, and then they can recheck you. So it's a great thing to do.
Yeah.
And then in terms of the kind of, depending what's happening and how you're going, the first 1 to 6 weeks will vary for everybody. So some people after 3 days will feel fantastic, ready to go for a walk and happy to get moving and push the pram. And if you have a C-section, that's definitely not going to be something that you could probably do straight away. So I think within the first 6 weeks, although they say just rest and then have your 6-week check and then you're all fine, we always say within that first 6 weeks, there's plenty of things that you can do if you're feeling mentally ready to think about your recovery, which you may well be. So the first thing that we always kind of try and get everyone to do is firstly nutrition. You're probably hot on that anyway, but really try and stay away from the sugars, which can inflame the body where you're healing, and get into that really good high protein and kind of just good, gorgeous, like dark green leafy vegetable kind of foods that make you fuller for longer. Prep some food now, have some really big bowls already kind of frozen that you can just take out the freezer and heat, because that's always quite useful. You don't have to think about cooking then. The second thing you can think about doing alongside that, and also if you're breastfeeding, you want to drink a lot of water. We're dehydrated quite a lot, especially during the birth. So it's really important to get your hydration up. And if you're breastfeeding or bottle feeding, I always say, whenever you're doing that, just drink a pint of water just to make sure you're getting your fluids. And then the second thing we talk about is breathing. You know, when we're pregnant, the baby takes up a lot of space and our diaphragm is shoved up right up into our necks. And there's a lot of pressure on the pelvic floor. So we want to restore a really good functional breath, which is really important part of our pelvic floor healing and the diastasis recovery. So if you can just start focusing on some nice kind of rib cage belly breathing, rather than thinking that the breath is all about from the neck and shoulders, that's a really nice place to start. And that's very easy and gentle to do. And you can do it in all sorts of different positions. So in the upright position, side lying, or on hands and knees when you're kind of changing baby or giving them a kiss and a cuddle or just playing with them on the floor. It's a really nice place to kind of focus on the breathing. And then the third thing we kind of think about is abdominal massage. And it's one of the biggest things that's kind of a new thing on the block. And it's fantastic because we are firstly holding the baby for 9 months in a growing position. That's changing and stretching our body. And then during the labor can be very physical. Some people have a 3-day labor, some people have a 20-hour labor. It really, really varies, but whatever happens is very physical. So our muscles can hold a lot of tension. So doing the abdominal massage can really help release the tightness. And for example, if you have a diastasis, your obliques can be really quite powerfully strong to try and find strength where there isn't any strength in your main core. And so they can actually pull, because they're so tight, they can pull on that midline to make the diastasis not kind of help in its healing. Just by releasing, for example, very broad sense, releasing the obliques and some surrounding muscles can actually allow that midline to kind of soften and kind of then kind of bed together a little bit and help it heal. So, and I've got sort of like a 4-minute tip on how to do a quick massage at home on the other side. So, you know, I can always share that with you if you need it. And so abdominal massage. And if you have a C-section, again, massively important. It is a full-on surgery. If you had a knee surgery, would you then go out and just do what you would do? No, you'd have rehab, you'd recover, you'd have good nutrition, you would have physio, you'd have massage on it. So I would really urge any woman who's got that they take that as a serious recovery process and get yourself feeling like that is healed. Excuse me. And again, a lot on healing on that anti-inflammatory nutrition, hydration, massage, and moving. And then moving is the last thing. So in the first 6 weeks, that's something that you can kind of do. All those things are very easy in a way. If you're feeling like mentally up for it, you might not even feel like even thinking about it. And then post that, you can start thinking about moving. And anything where you're in an upright position, as a very simple way of thinking about it, for a diastasis, even if you don't know that. If you've got a diastasis, you can't get to anyone to be checked. If you do anything in an upright position, you're less likely to compromise that. So if you think about your stomach like a zip, and if you are to bend over, you're going to put a lot of pressure on that zip and it's going to open. If you keep yourself upright, you're less likely to put any pressure on that zipper and it's going to stay nice and connected. And slowly with time, it will heal. So I don't know if that's a lot to think about or it makes sense, but I hope that it does. But just to say that within the first 1 to 6 weeks, you can do things towards a healing of your body without even really having to do exercise as such. So then by the time you hit 6 to 12 weeks, you're ready to kind of do the things that you want to do, depending on how the delivery goes and how your body really reacts, because everybody's different.